Hello, it's Nienke here, and I'm here with a new episode of the podcast CX Leadership Talks. And I'm also taping this as a YouTube video. And you might think this is not Nienke's room, and I'm taping this from the exotic location of Bali. I'm in Nusa Dua, where I'm going to be speaking at a large corporate event on Tuesday. Today it's Monday, the 27th of May. I'm speaking there the 28th. And I decided to give you also a little bit of peek of my view of my terrace. I'm sitting outside, might be thinking that you think, oh, she's going to be sweaty. I probably am. But for all of you that are listening, it's a beautiful location with a beautiful garden. I'm sitting in the shade, of course. And I wanted to share today the lessons I took away from the CX Leaders Advance, because it's been a brilliant, brilliant event. And I also know that not everybody of you, not all the leaders or the CX leaders from the world have been there. I think it was like 180 that were there, which was, of course, incredible. And I thought I was there as a participant, as a speaker, as part of the Global CX Leaders Summit. Why not share what I took away and that you can also translate that towards your practice? So here we go. I got 7 learnings for you that I think are valid and I think are very important. Maybe the one, well, will speak to you more than others, but let's first of all, it was great to meet so many people. And one of the people I met was Roxie Strohmenger. I knew her as Roxie Smith in the time that she was at Forrester, and she was the opening keynote. And she also gave me my first insight. And I think it's important that leaders, as CX leaders, that we, and I'm looking at my notes because otherwise I'm maybe saying it wrong, we have to dive deep into the world of data. She was not the only one that talked about that, because it was really about proving the results of our strategies, about getting that impact, to connecting our CX metrics to data. And build your web of data and link your CX metrics to those that are important to the business. So when we host our CX Masterclass, this is also one of the things I always say, and I want to, what are the most important metrics that are in your company? What are the top 3 or top 5 metrics that are measured? Is it, when you're a commercial company, revenue, market share? When you're non-commercial, is it customer satisfaction? I don't know, but make sure that you first of all know which are the most important metrics, and then see how you can tie in your CX metrics to that. And not only that, make sure that you really connect with the world of data. I've taped many episodes on the data-driven CX podcast I taped with Informatica. And one of the things I learned is that the worlds of data and the worlds of customer experience are not often intertwined. And I think it's very important that we, as CX leaders, build those connections within the organization, so we know who's busy with it, and to see where we can make better impact. Because I also know that the people that are in the world of data often have a lot of data and want to make information, and we have that opportunity. So I think it's yeah, you have to dive deep in the world of data. First of all, know your data, know some customer facts. That's something that I add. Know the people in the world of data, and make sure that the data matches and that you have your own data points in your CX strategy, in your roadmap, because I think this is where that's the next level. And we are here in the CX CX Leadership Talks. This is where the advanced leaders are. So this is where you should also, I think, spice up your game. Roxie talked about it, and she's done as a leader, really built those connections, and she showed us the proof on ROI, the proof that she had, and she talked the world of data. She could have those conversations. So make sure that you have these strategic questions and these strategic comments on data, so you can engage in those conversations. So that's the first one. Dive deep into the world of data. My first thing that I think we all should do. Number two is have your AI strategic plan and embrace all new opportunities. There was a great session. I want to compliment, and I'm going to say this right, Stephanie Leheta. from Canada and Andrew Carothers from the States. And they hosted a session on AI and how to implement that within customer experience. And I think, first of all, as leaders, I heard somebody say the other day here in Bali, if you are not every day and half hour busy with AI, you're out of, well, you're out. And I also know that there are a lot of CX leaders that have not explored the world of AI. So, first of all, get your butt into ChatGPT or Copilot if that's within your organization. If you're not allowed to use AI in your organization, make sure that you start using AI from your personal account. An example that I have used AI, I use it a lot when I explore topics for my podcast, when I explore topics, but also, for example, I used it to make a gift for my assistant. She really wanted a kind of like a coloring book that I could not find. And then I decided with Dolly to create those coloring uh, myself. We always have fun about Grumpy Cat, and so I created all kinds of coloring pages with Grumpy Cat in her situation, and it was fun. It took me like 3 hours, something like that, and then I had it printed, and she had a personalized coloring book. How about that? So yeah, I am pretty creative, but I think it's also to see it's a sexy theme. So if you're not engaging in AI, no, I think it's an opportunity. I can frame it as a challenge. I can frame it as an opportunity. I think it's very important for you to engage in tools of AI because other people find it sexy too. So you've got some cool stuff. And what I loved is that the session of the CX Leaders Advance, they said you need that strategic plan it could be for operational efficiency. So where could you, and together with the people in customer service, add AI tools to make sure that you can route some of the calls to chatbots, where you can help agents have shorter calls. So that's operational efficiency. The second part is revenue generation. Where could AI help you to find better next best actions? There are so many great tools on that. And there's also on customer engagement. I think to really see where there could be better conversations. When you look at the speech analytics tools that there are right now, this is where you can really use those tools to help the agent have better conversations. But also maybe when you look at the data that we have and the surveys, maybe that what customers should we do tap into? Where could we close our loops more efficient? But also, don't forget the risk management, the regulatory adherence. Where could we maybe be at risk? Where should we intertwine? What does it mean? Maybe customer data is being used in a way that GDPR doesn't allow you to. We have to be aware on those elements. So yes, make sure that you also dive deep into the world of AI and make your strategic plan around those four elements: operational efficiency, revenue generation, customer engagement, and or regulatory adherence. AI, there's a big world out there, and we need to join that world too. And you, as a CX leader, should do too. Now, that was number 2. Let's dive into my insight number 3. I think it's important that we grow into more strategic CX leaders. And if you've listened to this podcast or watch YouTube more often, you know that's what I'm all about. I'm here to helping you advance and spice up your leadership. But I think it is important that we really become strategic partners to the board. I have another insight for that later, but we need to have that good CX strategy. And one of the sessions I hosted is on my CX story. And you all know, if you've listened to other episodes, that this is something that have become my specialty. I help CX leaders define what their CX story is, how to bring that transformational narrative in your organization and repeat it in a consistent way. And we need that strategy. You need to take a stand to the future state. And one of the things I really loved about Jim Tincher, I'm going to, hopefully he'll be a guest on my podcast later, is I think also when you look at your strategic plan, a lot of have, of course, what to do internal, but we also need to steer our own organizational impact later. So in your strategy, did you already put some elements of what should your governance structure be like towards the future? Did you say, like, when we grow into CX, maybe in 2 years we should not be a functional team but maybe more a strategic team? Do you need more budget? Do you need more people? Do you have like a bigger accountability, and that means that to have more impact you need more space around that? And I think it's it takes more strategic approach to steer you and your team forward. So make sure that you put that strategic element in, and know that Jim, he looked at different structures, and in our masterclass we use 4, like from the evangelist to strategic team, and he even had a different perspective on it, which I really loved. So that's also why I want him on the podcast, like a federated model, and he created some strategic elements, and I think we should be more strategic in it and steering our team forward. So that's number 3: be a more strategic leader. Now 4, was everything brilliant? I must be honest, no. This lesson is content is important and experience is just as important. You all know me. I'm the honest woman from the Netherlands, and I don't like to sugarcoat. And I think content-wise, this event was amazing. There was so much broad content. I really could see where I could advance my practice. I learned great things from my fellow peers. But one of the things I really missed was that it was an experience. And I really want to compliment the people from the CXPA on the content part and the richness of the event. But when it came to being an experience, it just lacked that fun, excitement element. Yes, there was good food, let's be honest, but there was like a reception and it was not really opened. And there was no entertainment, or especially that was the opening night, and then the second day, it was opened. And what I saw is that there was like no AV team, so it was run by the people itself, which can be good, but of course things go wrong, and you need to really put the experience part as a professional element too. Great events also don't happen by accident, and it was a lot of work for the people from the CXPA, but also, for example, the light on the first speakers was not great, and there was not an opening, there was no MC or a chair of the event, which I really missed. I just must be honest. And I think that is important. Also, the first night, Semantica, they promoted and they paid for the dinner, and so I dressed up. I put like a glittery dress on to put some other spice in there. And then we had some drinks, and we just entered a big room, and there was also CXP up there, but there was nothing. There was no speaker, there was no fun, there were no games, there was nothing, and I missed it. Also, the end of the event, it was like a candle blowing out, and then whew. I think one of the things that we have to think about when we organize events, and you as a CX leaders will do that too, of course, content is important, but experience and making it that event is just as important too. They did some things, but they lacked that true experience and fun things that some conferences do have. And that was just not there. I have to be honest. So if we ever get the chance, I hope that in 2026 that we can host the CX Leaders Advance in the Netherlands. Well, now I promise it. I'm putting the bar up high, but why not? I think it's important to add those things. So content is just as important as the experience is. My lesson 4. Lesson 5. I've been to so many sessions at the CX Leaders Advance, I think about 10. And content-wise, this was also good. But when you look at work sessions, make them as interactive as possible. When you zoom out at an event like that, and also at the sessions that you have, people have meetings all day, they have workshops all day. Where can you add interactivity and to engage people as early as possible? Don't just try to be complete. Make sure that out of your workshop you get 1 or 2 elements and work around that. Make people trip over the truth, have people experience it. But what I've had a lot of sessions. There were a lot of sending and slides and facts and figures, and it was when you look at the midst of the whole event, it was just sometimes too much. And the sessions that were very interactive, that gave us the opportunity as a table to have the conversation, that put some elements in. And I got back from the people that were in my session, or the session that I created together with Tony Krasnich. We really made it interactive. And I think it's so important when you have like a session of an hour and a half that you engage people from the beginning on. So make sure that you create interactivity, engage people, and work towards one outcome. One. And I think this is also very important when you create work sessions, that you think of, what do I want as a result? How can I, and what does it help the audience with? So, and that way you can organize it around. That was number 5. We're almost there. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening and watching. And yeah, it's still beautiful here in Bali and it's getting warm. So 6. I think this was a real big inside aha moment. There was a session where Joel Trammell was a guest, and he's written a couple of books. One of them is What's Important for CEOs. I don't know the book right away, but the interesting thing is what he says as a CEO, because he's been a CEO and he guides CEOs. And I know that many CX leaders have issues with how to engage with CEOs. So here it comes. He says, for a CEO, it's not the customer comes first. It's not the employee comes first. It is not the shareholder comes first. It's they all come first. And I thought this was interesting because as a CEO, you have to manage all of them. I love that as a perspective, because sometimes we are just like too much on the hey. And also what he said, don't ask me as a CEO how, but tell me what you're going to do, how you're going to contribute, and how far you are with your plans. So, we're almost there. No, we're 80% there, and this needs to be done. And the how, you don't have to get involvement on that. Talking a little bit about customer, employee, or shareholder comes first. I'm now doing a course on Harvard Business School online, and it's very interesting. It's about strategy execution. And one of the things they say, as an organization, you often know, is it customer first, employee first, or shareholder first? And they gave, I think it's very important when you look at your organization, and shareholder could, if you are in a government agency, could be like politics or the government. And I thought it is interesting because if you know what is the dominant element of those 3, what if it's not the customer? You have to be honest and see how you can tweak in others. For example, one of the examples is about the Marriott, and the Marriott is all about engaging employees first to make sure that they serve customers in the best way. So they create like a family with the employees, and then in that way, the employees are enabled to engage others. There was also another company, pharmaceutical, I forgot the name, it could be Merck, but I don't know anymore, where they had a big issue. And one of the things they said, we get the drug out right away because it's customer first. That means we cannot risk hurting any of the customers or the patients. I think it was Johnson and Johnson, and they got like Tylenol out. And one of the things they did is right away and do that in such a smart way, so that everybody knew it's customer first. There's also companies that have shareholder first, and that would maybe not get a medicine out, but would put it extra into the add-on. So it is important for you as a CX leader to know what comes first of the 3. And as a CEO, you have to manage them all. So don't come with customer first, what Joel Trammell said. And I think that's a paradigm we need to deal with. So thank you, Greg Melia, for inviting Joel Trammell, because I think it was a very interesting session. And now the last, my 7th big insight. I've met so many people online, and meeting people live is just so much better. It has been amazing to meet all these peers from so many parts of the world. And Jaya from India, thank you so much. Karen Firstman, I heard about your name, but it was so great to meet you as an entrepreneur. Tabitha, of course, you're a hero and a legend. I think your wisdom is amazing, just like Roxie, we already talked about that. Diane Majors and Michael Hinshaw, they written a new book. It's actually good. I hope to have Diane on the podcast too. And it's just fun to be around these people. Nick Bond, Mark Sladen, Catherine Gauthier. She was, by the way, amazing, from Canada. Olga Potta, I have to say her name, Potaptseva, from CX Panda. And not just that, we, together with Marisa and her, we did Pilates in the morning. It was great to meet live Ahmed Al-Fadagi to talk about CX in the Middle East. Barbie, of course, Mohammed Latif, my fellow recognized training provider, as Ian Golding, but Ian is always fun. We always meet in a gym. Megan Burns, read a lot about from her, but never met her. Let's see that I'm Neil Scale from the International Awards, and actually Awards International. Mauricio Alanes, I had the fun of introducing introducing him as a new partner in the CX game. Ayman van Brecht, a Dutch CX professional that I never met. Marisa Bloembergen, who was also there. She's a Dutch CX. Renee Gabrice, Jen Stevens, Susie Earhart, and there's so Aitan Hatem, the CEO of Semantica, and Esther Edelson from Semantica, Adrienne, Michael, I think so many people. I Gabe, Nicole, thank you. I think for me, meeting people live is just amazing, and see where you can put time in, not just to see your learning as being an efficient thing, but building relations over the long run is also about meeting people live. And I just want to encourage you next year to go to CX Leaders Advance, maybe go to a CX meetup in your country. In the Netherlands, we have one again on the 7th of June about CX in finance. I think it's great to meet people live and have some fun and have some coffees, and if you want a wine. So yeah, that's are my 7 insights. I'm going to repeat them just to tap it off. And I'm curious which one you need to work on. Let's do like that. Dive deep into the world of data. That's number 1. 2, have your strategic AI plan and embrace all new opportunities. 3, grow into being a more strategic CX leader. 4, content is just as important as the experience. 5, make your work sessions as interactive as possible. 6, it's not customer first, it's customer, employee, and shareholder first. Make sure that you tap into that CEO's element. And 7, meeting people in real life is the most important thing to build those connections. So it was amazing to travel to Denver. It was a very full week because afterwards I also visited Harvard, got some extra learning in, and my brain was just full. So I'm living the life as an international global speaker these last couple of months. And when I travel home, so the beginning of June, after that, I'm going to be 2 months in the Netherlands, which I'm very much looking forward to, working with my clients over there, and having some fun with my family and friends in the Netherlands is good too. And let's hope the weather, betters. So thank you so much for listening in. Let me know which of these 7 resonates with you most, or that you need to work on. You can do that in the comments. And for now, sending happy greets from Bali, and hope to meet you in the next episode.